In many ways, life was simpler for teens in 1981. There were no cell phones, iPods, or even CDs. Sony Walkmans were the rage. Personal computers were several years away, and most Americans had never even heard of the internet. But in other ways, life was more challenging. About half the states had drinking ages under 21. Drunk driving was the #1 killer of teens. The number of teens killed on the road in alcohol-related crashes was almost 2.5 times what it is today. One night in July of 1981, in the town of Wayland, Massachusetts, just west of Boston, a high school junior named John, a promising hockey player being recruited by a number of colleges, was at a party and realized he was about to miss his curfew. He jumped into his car and sped home to try to beat the deadline. He didn't make it home alive. His hockey coach, Bob Anastas, got the news at his home the next morning.
I asked the children if they would mind waiting in the house because I could hear Bob coming down the street, and I thought that I really needed to talk to him alone about it first. So I met him in the yard and told him, and I will never forget the look of pain and horror on his face that it couldn't be John, not John.
Then the second bombshell dropped. Just 10 days after John's crash, another hockey player, Buddy, died from injuries sustained in another car accident. Anastas was exasperated and finally told the kids that they are the ones who are responsible, not the adults. They are the ones who are at the parties. They are the ones who put the keys in the car and drive. From this shared sorrow, anger, and passion, an idea started to form. Through a series of meetings, Anastas and a group of students discussed what was going on and ways it could be stopped. They decided to name their group Students Against Driving Drunk to capture the responsibility that teens themselves had for their behavior. "If the problem is mine, then the solution lies with me," was one of their slogans. They also determined that parents needed to be more involved, and they developed a contract which they called the Contract for Life. The Contract for Life required a conversation between a teen and his or her parents to discuss what would happen if they were out at night and couldn't get home safely. In addition to protecting their safety, the contract was designed to promote communication between parents and teens around the important issue of underage drinking and impaired driving. The students met through the school year, and in the spring of 1982 decided to plan a sad day at the high school. One of the students asked if they could invite the governor, and Anastas said, "Why not?" To their surprise, Governor Ed King agreed to come and on the designated day arrived at the high school in his official helicopter. From this event, another early slogan was derived: "If we can dream it, it can be done." The incredible positive publicity surrounding Sad Day generated requests from other local high schools for Anastas and his students to come and talk about their idea. Soon Anastas was traveling to schools all over New England talking about the idea of SAD. Students taking responsibility for watching out for themselves and their friends, and through the Contract for Life, enlisting their families to join the fight. Anastas also asked Governor King if he would be willing to speak with his fellow governors about this idea, and King agreed. He realized the idea of SAD was powerful, meaningful, and absolutely necessary. They talked about resisting peer pressure and watching out for their friends. They encouraged all students to take the Contract for Life home and sign it with their parents. Students responded. Letters poured into the Anastas home from teens who had lost friends or family members to drunk driving, or who were worried about their friends drinking. In the first 2 years of SAD's life, over 6,000 chapters were formed. And even more important, the number of teen deaths from drunk driving started dropping. By 1985, deaths from impaired driving had dropped by over 1,000. SAD was a phenomenon. Hollywood called, and in 1984, a made-for-TV movie called The Contract for Life, The SAD Story, was broadcast. SAD began reaching into colleges, middle schools, and elementary schools. They launched a program focused on athletes called Student Athletes Detest Drugs, and enlisted the endorsement of a long list of U.S. senators, representatives, and governors.
You do the last thing. Keep your mind and your body drug-free. And I mean it. Keep your mind and your body drug-free. And I want to tell you right now, you'll have a wonderful, wonderful existence in sports.
The NFL, NHL, and Major League Baseball all participated in PSA supporting SAD. In the 10 years since SAD was founded, there had been some profound changes in the teen world. The good news about alcohol-related deaths on the highways had continued. There had been changes in the laws, most notably an increase in the drinking age across the country to 21. SAD was proud of its role over those 10 years in helping to reduce the number of teen deaths from drunk driving by almost 60%. Drunk driving was no longer the #1 killer of teens. In 1996, the SAD Board of Directors formally voted to change the name of the organization from Students Against Driving Drunk to SAD. As a transition, chapters were encouraged to call themselves Students Against Destructive Decisions and to embrace other issues besides just impaired driving. SAD Chairman of the Board, Stephen Wallace, launched a cross-country tour to publicize the new name.
Teen violence is up. Teen suicide is up. Doing nothing is not an option.
SAD dropped the old logo and adopted a new logo creation, donated by one of Boston's largest ad agencies. Today, SAD faces new challenges. Too many teens are still dying on the highways as a result of impaired driving, but also because of reckless and distracted driving. SAD creates its own programming to address issues and partners with other organizations to share successful programs. It also relies on its student members, the real force behind SAD, to provide input on important matters.